In 1968, two epidemiologists appear on a TV show explaining their worries for the future. One of them is worried about newfound viruses traveling around the world because of planes, but the other one thinks humanity always beats viruses and that they should worry more about fungi. Right now fungi don't sound like a big deal because they're only capable of controlling animals, but if climate change keeps affecting the temperature of our planet, fungi could evolve to the point where they could control humans as well. Unfortunately, neither the host nor the other epidemiologist takes him seriously. In 2003, Sarah begins her day making breakfast as a birthday present for her father Joel, and her uncle Tommy joins them as well. While they eat, they hear on the radio that there have been some disturbances in Indonesia. Before leaving for school, Sarah secretly searches Joel's drawers to take his broken watch and some money to fix it, although she can't help but be curious about a knife her dad has hidden as well. When their family leaves the house, they find their neighbor Danny taking care of his Nana, who lives in a catatonic state in her wheelchair. Danny tells them they haven't visited in a while, so Joel makes up an excuse about being busy but promises Sarah will come by later. Later after class, Sarah goes downtown to get Joel's watch fixed. While the clocksmith is working on the watch, his wife suddenly shows up looking quite scared and closes the shop 4 hours later. The clocksmith doesn't understand what's going on, but he hurries to finish his work so Sarah can leave. Afterward, Sarah visits her neighbors, and Danny's wife Connie shares some cookies while Sarah pets the dog Mercy. Sarah comments that she saw lots of police and trouble on the road on her way here, but Connie hasn't heard anything on the news. The house has a big DVD collection and Sarah is so busy browsing it that she doesn't notice Nana having a strange kind of seizure even if she isn't supposed to be able to move. Sarah chooses one of the movies to borrow, and on her way out, she notices Mercy staring at Nana curiously. When she goes home, Sarah notices a bunch of army planes flying really low over the town. Later she hears on TV that there has been a rash of violent incidents across the city, but the police blame it on a new illegal upper hitting the streets. The TV is quickly turned off when Joel comes home and Sarah gives him the fixed clock as a birthday present. The movie she borrowed from Connie is also one of Joel's favorites, so they decide to watch it together as part of the birthday celebration, although Sarah falls asleep. Out of a sudden, Tommy calls Joel to ask him to bail him out of jail. He got arrested when he was in a bar and some guy suddenly went crazy, starting a fight for no apparent reason. Joel puts Sarah in bed and leaves in his truck. 3 hours later, Sarah wakes up when she hears lots of noises outside, helicopters, screaming, and general disturbances. She leaves the bedroom and when she can't find her dad, she turns on the TV, only to find a national alert signal telling citizens to stay indoors. Suddenly a thud at the window startles Sarah. It's Mercy, who is incredibly scared. Sarah goes outside to calm him and tries to take him home, but Mercy whines and struggles against her hold until he frees himself from the collar and runs away. Not understanding why the dog would hate his own home, Sarah goes to check on the neighbors and finds the door open. She enters the house, and because all lights are out, Sarah doesn't notice the blood on the floor until she steps on it. The blood trail comes from Danny, who is wounded on the floor and begging for help. Sarah comes closer thinking he had an accident and is shocked to find Nana feeding on a dead Connie. Nana has some weird fungi coming out of her mouth and when she notices Sarah, she tries to attack her too, so Sarah runs out of the house. At that moment, Joel and Tommy arrive in the truck. Nana is coming out of the house too, and Joel doesn't hesitate to kill her, explaining they've seen people losing it like this downtown and the only solution is to protect themselves. The family leaves in the truck, and Joel tells Sarah that they say it's some kind of virus or parasite. It's people in the city that got affected, and their neighbors took Nana to the hospital in the city when she needed her checkups, meaning she probably got it there. On their way out of town, they see a house on fire and people asking for a ride, but Joel tells Tommy to ignore them. When they finally approach the highway, they find everyone else had the same idea as them and a traffic jam has taken over the road. Tommy tries to drive through the field, but the army has already arrived and is now blocking the area. They turn the truck around to cross the town and go north, hopefully they find a clear road to escape to Mexico. The army planes start flying lower than ever, and the downtown area is a mess. People are scared and trying to run away, not leaving room for cars to pass through. Tommy tries to go back, but the truck is now surrounded, and to make matters worse the army is here to drop a bomb. The truck is hit by the explosion and the family gets knocked out for a few seconds. When Sarah wakes up, she finds her ankle is hurt, and Joel has to carefully help her out of the truck. At that moment, a car crashes against the truck and starts a fire, blocking the alley where Tommy had been standing. The brothers agree to meet outside town and Joel picks up Sarah to go faster, making his way through the streets that are now filled with infected people feeding on the innocent. An infected man sees them and begins to chase them, so Joel begins running inside shops and houses to try to lose him. The infected guy doesn't give up and follows them until they make it back outside, where he's about to jump on them when suddenly he gets shot by a soldier. Joel asks for help, explaining they aren't sick, but the soldier receives orders to kill them anyway. When the man shoots, Joel jumps out of the way, dropping Sarah when a bullet brushes the side of his body. The soldier is about to try again, but at that moment Tommy shows up, killing the soldier first. Joel rushes to check on Sarah and is devastated to discover the bullet had only brushed him because Sarah got the worst of it. He tries to stop the bleeding and tell Sarah that it's going to be okay, but Sarah clings to him in fear before dying in her father's arms. 20 years later, Boston has become a quarantined wasteland with its borders constantly being watched over by the army. People do whatever little jobs they're offered by the government, but it's barely a life. One morning, a young child that was lost outside comes seeking asylum, and the soldiers let the kid in to do the obligatory checks. A soldier tells the child that everything is going to be okay, but the testing machine unfortunately indicates infection, so the kid is given a lethal injection. Moments later, the kid's body is sent on a truck to the pyre where they get rid of infected organisms. Joel works here sometimes, and after so long he isn't disturbed by the fact he has to throw young bodies into the fire. He often asks for other jobs like street sweeping or whatever will get him paid, but in secret, he's also working as a smuggler. One afternoon, he attends the public punishment of a group of people that tried to enter the quarantine zone without authorization. There he finds a soldier that buys illegal uppers from him, paying with money but also cigarettes. The soldier also informs him he's finally found a vehicle he can sell to Joel, and they agree to do the transaction in a few days when the soldiers that can be bribed will be guarding. For now, the soldier advises him to stay home at night because a resistance movement known as the Fireflies is causing lots of disturbances, and the guards will shoot on sight without checking your identity first. The truck the soldier can get his hands on won't have a battery, so Joel's friend Tess is negotiating with a dealer to acquire one. In fact, she already paid to get one, but the dealer sold the battery to someone else yet spent her money anyway. The dealer's bodyguards mistakenly beat Tess up when she came to demand answers, and now the dealer doesn't want to let her go because he's afraid of Joel and what he'll do to his reputation. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted by an explosion outside that blows up the wall and hits everyone inside. When Tess finally looks up, the dealer is gone, thus she takes the chance to leave the building through the hole in the wall, discovering someone had set the bomb on an army truck. Tess tries to get away as the alarm tells the citizens to clear the area, but as soon as she turns around the corner, she discovers the Fireflies and the army are shooting at each other in the middle of the streets. With her hands up, Tess asks the army for help, swearing she isn't a Firefly, but she gets arrested anyway. Meanwhile, in the Fireflies' hideout, Ellie hears all the disturbances outside while being chained to a heater, which has been her situation for weeks now. She told the Fireflies that her name is Veronica, and whenever a doctor comes to check she's still healthy. Ellie meets them with sass, tired of having to do the same tests every day without being given any explanations. In the afternoon, Joel goes to see a friend that has a whole radio set up and people pay him to send messages to the outside world. Joel offers the cigarettes the soldier gave him in exchange for news about Tommy, who escaped to Wyoming years ago. They haven't heard from him in 3 weeks, which is unusual for him, and today there isn't any news either. Joel gets tired of waiting and asks for the location of the Wyoming tower. His friend gives it to him but also points out this is a bad idea because the open country is full of dangers, like the infected and also slavers. When Joel goes home, he retrieves all the tools he's been hiding under his floor for his eventual escape and begins preparing a plan on the map to reach the Wyoming tower. He also gets drunk, and it's revealed then that his watch is broken again, but he continues to wear it to remember his daughter. Eventually he falls asleep, and when Tess finally comes home, she just joins him instead of waking him up. The next morning, Joel notices Tess' wounds and she tells him what happened with the dealer. Joel gets furious because he's desperate for that battery in order to look for Tommy, so Tess promises him they'll find out who bought the battery and get it back by force. In the meantime, in the Fireflies' hideout, leader Marlene is being questioned by her followers. They want freedom and democracy as much as she does, but they don't understand why they have to play guards for a random girl chained in a room and why they keep blowing up meaningless army targets, which is causing them to lose people. Marlene explains the targets weren't random, they're keeping the army distracted and away from their hideout because tonight, they're leaving for good in order to take Ellie west to the radio tower in Salem. She shows her follower the reason why Ellie is so special on a piece of paper, instantly gaining her loyalty to the cause. Joel and Tess go to the market to pay off some informants that tell them about the location of the battery, and they agree to enter the building through a hidden tunnel to take the buyers by surprise. Meanwhile, Ellie keeps on trying to break the heater she's chained to no avail. Marlene suddenly shows up and gives Ellie her bag, which includes a knife she loves, and she finally frees her from the chains as Marlene explains that she was the one that saved Ellie's life and that she knows Ellie's real name. Marlene was the one that sent baby Ellie to the military school because she thought she would be safe there, but Ellie complicated things when she sneaked out. Ellie wants to go home but Marlene won't let her, although she finally tells Ellie what is the secret purpose that makes her so special, which she mustn't tell anybody to protect her own life. Moments later, Joel and Tess use the old subway tunnels to move around town unnoticed. They're quite startled when they find an infected body stuck on the wall so rotten that it looked like a mutated monster. The pair keeps moving and eventually come to the fake wall they need to move to access the building, but they immediately worry when they smell gunpowder and see blood dripping on the floor. When they finally enter the corridor, they find the dealer and his men dead. It turns out the battery is busted and they were killed for the scam. Suddenly they hear some noises coming from another room, and when Joel goes to check, he's attacked by Ellie, who he quickly pushes away. Joel keeps Ellie's knife under his foot and ignores her when she asks for it, instead concentrating on Marlene and her follower, Who are the ones that tried to buy the battery first? Joel accuses Marlene of being the one that turned Tommy against him, but Marlene doesn't have time for an argument and explains they need to get Ellie out of the quarantine zone tonight. Since she and her friend are hurt, they can't do it anymore, and Marlene wants Joel to do it instead since he's a smuggler. There's a team of fireflies waiting at the old state house, and Marlene promises they'll pay Joel with all the supplies he wants if he takes Ellie there without a scratch. Joel and Tess discuss things and accept the deal, but Ellie doesn't like it and Marlene has to convince her it's their only option. Ellie gets her knife back and grabs her bag before leaving with Joel and Tess. They need to wait for the night to fall, so for now they'll stay at Joel's place. While looking around the apartment, Ellie finds a book about billboard hits with a note inside that indicates some sort of smuggling code. A song from the 60s meant no news and something from the 70s equaled new stock, but the 80s only has a red cross next to it. She asks Joel the meaning behind the cross, but Joel refuses to answer and decides to take a nap until it's time to leave. Some hours later, Joel wakes up and hears Ellie say she looks forward to being on the other side of the wall because she's never left the city in her entire life. He wonders if Ellie is the daughter of some important leader, but Ellie doesn't share her story. Instead, she tells Joel that she heard "Wake Me Up Before You Go" on the radio, which instantly scares Joel. Ellie smiles and explains it was just a prank to confirm her suspicions about the code. An 80s song equals trouble. At that moment, Tess shows up and announces it's time to go. The army patrols the streets at night to remind the citizens of the curfew, but Tess and Joel have a special smuggling tunnel that leaves them right outside the border. Ellie can't believe she's outside and is amazed by a sky with no buildings. The trio sneaks around, hiding behind trash or inside pipes not to be found by the army lights, but when they turn around an old wall, they bump into a soldier that is relieving himself. The man immediately makes them fall to their knees, ignoring Tess' bribe offer, and he uses a testing machine to check if they're infected. Joel and Tess are fine, but when he approaches Ellie, she stabs his leg with her knife. The soldier points his weapon at Ellie intending to kill her, and Joel is reminded of the night he lost Sarah. Triggered by the memory, Joel jumps on the soldier and beats him up until he's dead while Ellie watches. Tess picks up the soldier's testing machine and is shocked to discover Ellie is infected, showing it to Joel with fear in her voice. Ellie immediately jumps in to show the marks on her arm that prove she's had the infection for days but it hasn't spread, meaning she's immune and she won't turn. They can hear the army coming closer, so they decide to leave this discussion for later and escape through a hole in the fence, finally leaving the city behind for good. Meanwhile, in Joel's apartment, the radio starts playing the 80s hit "Never Let Me Down Again." Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.